You know, I've been in corporate all my life and I've met many great leaders as well. I've also led a team and I found that I was always in the loop between the targets and the KPIs. So leading a team was much harder for me than to tell them whatever I was selling. I'd like to understand your perspective on how do you remain calm, manage personalities that are different, very, very different from yours?
I would say that all leaders find dealing with others the biggest challenge. What I've seen is the greatest influence is my attitude. When you communicate, in a sense, leadership is communication, isn't it? When you communicate, there's three types of communication. What you say, your face. People read a lot from your face, and your vibes, your feelings, your etc. Those two non-verbal ones, which is your face and your vibrations, have 80 to 90% of the impact of communication. So I found that when you hold the value of someone in your attitude, when you know their goodness, everyone has weaknesses and shortcomings. But I find that if a leader holds the value of those they're responsible for in their attitude, people feel that sense of belonging, that sense of respect, and they will, I find almost all people will really cooperate because they feel needed and they feel valued and they feel respected.
Yes.
You know, I saw some data once that most people in the corporate world, what's more important than their wage packet is to be valued and respected.
Yeah.
And the thing is that when I lack self-respect, I start to see all the defects of the people in my team. They feel it, so they don't like me too. They're reacting to me. And it just shows everything is subtle. And this is why when you meditate, what are you doing? You're upgrading the quality of your thinking and feeling. And that's the sort of the vibrations and the energy that people feel from you. And I'm sure, you know how you meet somebody and almost instantly you feel comfortable, or you can feel a bit edgy, because we sort of step into their thought aura, and you actually feel influenced by their quality of their thoughts. So I really do pay a lot of attention to my attitude. And if I feel my attitude moving over and sort of dwelling on someone's weakness or shortcoming, I really try to change it, because there's a beautiful law in a way. If you give love and respect to people, you win blessings from their heart. And that's like an energy that really empowers you, you know, as a leader. And there was a sister who ran the Brahma Kumaris for 38 years, Dadi Prakashmani. She was incredibly loving. She respected everyone. She was absolutely relentless. She gave regard to those who loved her, those who didn't. And she just got she often used to say the blessings, you know, when you meet somebody and their face smiles, love, and their eyes just radiate those feelings. They are an incredible power in life. You can't imagine, to take you beyond your tiredness and your challenges, etc.
Yes.
So I think I pay a lot of attention to my subtle attitude.
So if there is somebody out there listening, and I know there are a few corporate people that will be listening, for those that haven't yet started meditation, and I know we're going to come to them, motivating them to start it, but beyond that, how do you fake it at the start before it becomes a natural thing?
Fake? You mean fake?
You know how people say, fake it till you make it? So just at the start, because our mind is controlling us, majority of us, those experienced people like yourself who've mastered that. But right now, no more. People who haven't meditated, haven't mastered this. So how do we control that mind so that we divert away from those weaknesses of the team to then focus on only the positive? So when that thought comes, what do we need to say to ourselves to...
This is the spiritual journey, actually. And the first law of spirituality says, I am responsible for how I feel. So you begin to observe your thoughts, and when your thoughts cross the line, you don't overreact to yourself, you don't put yourself down, but you just tweak them to change your attitude and really consciously. I've worked in teams where I literally get out my notebook and write down the good points of everyone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that if the mind deviates to the old habits, the ego habits of always finding fault
Yes.
in other people, to me that's probably the best measure of ego, is how my attitude, how much I'm seeing, looking down at people, criticizing people, finding fault. And it's paying attention.
Yes.
And it's actually really an enjoyable journey
Yes.
of change.
Yes.
And knowing where I want to go, and when I don't go there, which happens to all of us sometimes, don't overreact to myself.
Yes.
Don't feel I can't get there. But in time, I'm just increasing the quality of my thoughts, my feelings, my attitude, and therefore my performance in the workplace too.
That's very beautiful, keeping a record of good points about people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, just the smallest little details matter as well. I learned from an ex-boss of mine is an Outlook, because we all had Outlook, before he would call somebody, whether it was a team member or a client, take a conscious effort to write down the names of their children, to write down personal things that that person may have shared. Before he'd make that call or before he'd have that meeting, he'd quickly glance over those notes. And then he'll say, oh, how is, and then the names of the children, and that would make that other person feel really special.
Dikar, I think kindness never goes astray.
Yes.
I think it's one of the most beautiful human qualities, just to be kind to people. Because underneath our smiles and facades, life is a struggle for most people today. It's hard work.
Yes.
And sometimes even we mask that people are suffering deeply internally and can't come out of this sort of space of feeling stuck, feeling unhappy, disliking themselves, and therefore my performance in work is not so good, I'm not so sweet with the family, and we're stuck in this cycle of unhappiness in a way. And sometimes just a little bit of kindness, and it doesn't even have to be words even. It's once again as vibrations and feelings, through your eyes. When you're self-aware, you can transmit feelings to people, feelings. To me, the great power is love, and even in the corporate world, they don't often talk about it.
Yes.
But so I often, sometimes I think in that contemporary world, men and women are loving, but sometimes if there's a woman who's a motherly type of person, often they're the best leaders in this world at the moment.
Nurturing, kind.
Nurturing, yeah.